welcome to On Deck with DeRo and Arch. I am Eric DeRosset. Along with me today again is Darren Archer. We are joining you today to talk a little sports of all varieties and maybe throw in a few tidbits here and there, just kind of spice it up. But Darren, good to see you today.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you and looking forward to sitting down with you and discussing some sports around the world.
Absolutely. I'm going to lead us off with just a few random facts or stories that I come across this week. Uh, some of them pretty significant, others just kind of trivial, but nonetheless interesting. On this day in 1989, the last left-handed catcher appeared in a major league game. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. His name was Benny DeStefano. He was by trade a first baseman, left-handed hitting first baseman, and corner outfielder. But he caught in a game for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1989, and that, according to the research I did, that was the last time a left-handed catcher had appeared in a major league game, and he was complete with an actual left-handed catcher's mitt. So on this day, 1989, Benny DeStefano caught left-handed for the Pirates. So I don't have
shocking. That's a little shocking to me that, if you think about it, I can't remember of a left-handed catcher on any team. That's something that is odd, but yeah, I guess that's kind of the norm.
Yeah, and you would think somewhere along the way in those since 1989, somebody would have done it somewhere, even by necessity. Maybe the primary catcher was pinch hit for, and then the backup got hurt or whatever. Anyway, 1989, last left-handed catcher appeared in a major league game. So
interesting.
Yeah. There's actually an interview. I did not get to it, but there's actually an interview with Jim Leland, I believe, who discussed left-handed catchers a little bit, but I wasn't able to come up with it. So apparently, Mr. Leland had some interesting comments about left-handed catchers and how it shouldn't be a rarity. How he felt like that it was kind of an old routine that was kind of out of date. So yeah, but I never did get a hold of the interview from Jim Leland. In other baseball news today, Royals made a formal announcement that they are going to move to a downtown location, and that location is Crown Center area. This has been in the works for a while, a move of some sort. So the Royals to downtown Kansas City. Thoughts on that move?
Oh, I like it. And just from the renderings that I've seen, the initial renderings, I think that Kansas City is going to have a Pittsburgh-esque type backdrop. And even, I guess, St. Louis Cardinals has a really nice backdrop to their stadium. So I think it'll be a beautiful stadium. It's a great move. Like we were talking off air prior to recording, it's gonna change up our travel plans an awful lot because getting out of Kaufman was easy in and easy out for the most part once you got through the initial stadium traffic. But I really think this is something that's overdue, and given the situation with the Kansas City Chiefs, this is, I think, put a lot of people's minds at ease as far as the rules are concerned, and I think it's going to be a great addition to downtown Kansas City and really going to allow that area to thrive even more.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great move. Downtown stadiums are cool for the one thing, and trendy right now. Besides, so I think it sort of checks both boxes there, and so yeah, excited for the Royals to make that move. Ben, that leaves that sports complex now, where the Arrowhead is and Kauffman Stadium. Like, there's not much around there anyway, commercially. I mean, and so it'll be interesting to see what becomes of that area. where those two stadiums are located. So, be an interesting watch for sure. Next tidbit, and hey, I'm going to throw this story at you in its entirety, and then I'm just going to let you take it wherever you want to go. Uh, on this day in 1952, a gentleman by the name of Fred Sy, and the last name is spelled Saigh, was indicted by a federal grand jury on a charge of income tax evasion. It just happened that Mr. Sy was the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals owner at the time. He had bought ownership from the team a few years prior to that from a gentleman who was had health problems and was probably not going. He's going to be unable to run the team essentially. So Mr. Sy, who was a lawyer by trade, bought the Cardinals. In the midst of this transaction was a stadium deal, a new stadium deal, and the amount of the stadium deal was $5 million. Okay. Um, as a part of that deal, Mr. Sy was apparently supposed to pay the tax that was due on that stadium deal, and he didn't hold up his end of the deal, and so he was indicted by a grand jury. Um, he served 6 months of a 15-month term. He was let out on good behavior. Once he returns from prison, baseball squeezes him and forces him, hey, we want you to sell the team. We don't like your kind, and we want you to sell. So his options were there was a conglomerate out of Texas that had an interest in the team, but he didn't. He wanted to sell to somebody that had St. Louis roots. So Anheuser-Busch purchased the team, the St. Louis Cardinals, somewhere mid 50s for $3.75 million. Purchased the Cardinals baseball team. I believe that there was about 1.25 million in debt against the team. So Mr. Sy received just short of $2 million on the transaction. The interesting part of this story is Mr. Sy was openly critical at times of Anheuser-Busch's running of the team. And so he would make these comments. But all along, he was actually buying shares in the Anheuser-Busch company. And by the end of his lifetime, he was the largest shareholder of Anheuser-Busch that wasn't related to the family. And he died in 1999, and his worth was $500 million. He and his wife had no children, and so they donated millions and millions to charity upon his death. And I believe, as in my reading, that there's still a Fred Sy charity that's still active at this time. So, Darren, what do you got for me?
Wow. That, there's a saying, going from the outhouse to the penthouse. He went
Right.
from the penitentiary to the penthouse.
Yeah.
Well, what an amazing story. And to think that is how the Anheuser-Busch family, or the Bush family,
Right.
was able to obtain the Cardinals is amazing. And
Yeah.
for him to turn around and make that kind of money by investing in their company is even more amazing.
Yeah.
That's just hard to wrap your head around and comprehend. Good for him, I guess, and good for Anheuser-Busch for becoming owners, which still holds true today, and all the pageantry and things such.
Right.
It's hard to imagine the St. Louis Cardinals without Anheuser-Busch being
Right.
attached to that, or to
I
them.
agree. And I'll tell you what point I even got to. I first read part of this story. I saw a little quote about it, and then I read pieces of the story on Wikipedia, and I'm like, hey, this sounds like somebody's like playing a dirty joke on DeRo with a false Wikipedia entry. So I dug further, and sure enough, those details hold true that actually happened. The 3.75 million dollars to buy the Cardinals. Like I don't know what it's worth now. Uh, there's no telling. Hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more. Um,
Could be
hey,
billions.
what a yeah, what a value buy, right?
Oh my
3.75 million
gosh.
to buy the Cardinals.
Yeah, look at the
So
return on that investment. My
absolutely,
goodness.
yeah. Anyway, thought that was a interesting story, and I guess I would think that we live in Missouri and we've been here forever. I guess I would have heard that story by now, but great stuff, great stuff,
Yeah,
and
great ride.
by all accounts, Mr. Sy was highly intelligent, incredible businessman, and it would have been interesting to see what the Cardinals would have looked like if Anheuser-Busch would have never got involved. So
Yeah.
good stuff, good stuff. The last tidbit of information, sort of, I've got before we dive into some NBA, Major League Baseball. Uh, the female basketball player from Iowa State, Crooks is her last name. Remind me again of her first name.
Audie Crooks.
Audie Crooks. Apparently, she is transferring from Iowa State to Oklahoma State. Uh, Payday of $1.4 million is what Oklahoma State is going to invest in her when she comes and plays for them. The stat I saw, I didn't verify it, but that puts her as the third highest female basketball player on the planet. And she's going to do that at the college level. So good for her. Absolutely. But
Absolutely good for her.
yeah. And so just interesting. I think there's some things about college women's basketball and WNBA that I think we may dive into at another point. But I it feels like to me that there is a financial crossroads that could be looming for women's basketball. You and I have spent a large portion of our life involved in women's basketball, and have made a living doing it. Essentially, we are uh, full-fledged supporters of it. We love the game. We love it when they play it, and all the things that come along with that. You and I have had the rewards of that. I had a daughter that had some great moments because of just being able to be a basketball player. Um, the thing that's starting to that, for me, that's starting to pop up a little bit. You and I have talked previously, even last season on our show, that WNBA operates at a deficit year in and year out. Now, in the last couple of years, Caitlin Clark, there's been some things that have changed financially about that, but overall, they operate at a deficit. The NBA essentially funds that and makes the WNBA viable to stay in business, so to speak. Um, then the last couple of weeks, you and I discussed women's basketball at the collegiate level and how a lot of those Division One women's basketball programs lose money, uh, significant amounts of money, 2, 3, 4 million in some cases. That's not the only Division One sport losing money. So I'm not singling out women's basketball, but I think where I'm going with this, and you and I can dive into this at another point deeper, but like, at what point does women's basketball, like, how do we get them, we somebody, how does somebody get them to the plus side in terms of finances, because it just doesn't feel like it can be sustained in the present model. So I'm going to throw that at you, and give me some knee jerk reactions to that.
Yeah, yes, and very interesting topic. I can tell you this: if we could figure out how to get them operating in the black, we would be operating in the black.
That is
From
so
most
true.
standpoints.
That
From
is
most
so true.
standpoints. But yes, it's amazing the money that goes out especially with the NCAA programs. Now, we just looked at one program, and if I memory serves me correctly, it was Penn State, correct? That we took
Correct.
a look at
Right.
all of their money or their revenue generating sports,
Right.
and they were operating at a deficit, if I remember, or just
And
yeah, they
and I
were
think
operating at a deficit.
that amount was around 4 million at Penn State.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was
so
substantial.
and I think that was a theme throughout other Division One colleges too. They were operating at a deficit, maybe not to that degree, but nonetheless, not making money.
Right. One thing that I have, and I'm talking specifically the NCAA women's level right now, and I guess you could say the NCAA collegiate athletics as a whole. I don't understand exactly how their NIL factors into their budgetary
Yeah,
overall picture, if that makes sense. I don't know if
that's a
there's a
good point.
separate, if there's a separate slush fund for just strictly NIL that's based off of um, fundraising and say donations towards earmarked
Right.
for the NIL. I don't know if they take those donations and a percentage of what
Right.
comes in. That would be interesting to take a look at, case study, so to speak, and
Right.
figure out just how athletic directors are juggling that across the board. Especially like we talked about in your revenue generating sports with your football, men's basketball, um, women's basketball, and how
Right.
that operates. As far as the WNBA is concerned, it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how viable that their current structure is going to be able to continue, especially with the Players Association and the players. Um, the money that they bring in off of contracts, individual players, is going to go up substantially from where it is right now. Um, there were players that were top of the league players that were operating or that were receiving. If they received $125,000 a season, that would be a great contract for that player. I'm hearing in the upwards of maybe that quadrupling,
Mm, yep.
um, you know, moving forward. And I know there's been a big push by the Women's Players Association to get that pay more commensurate with what is on the men's level. Now, we'll call a spade a spade. It's never going to get there.
Right.
Um, I don't think in our lifetime anyway.
Sure.
We're not going to have women making LeBron type money, so to speak. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that on both levels, both the
Yeah.
professional and the NCAA level. I know one thing: it's not a good business model if you're operating in the red, deeply in the red, year after year.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
it's got to be on the WNBA side. NBA money is helping that, and on the collegiate side, it's for most universities, the men's side of basketball is helping the women's side, and obviously football with generating that revenue to be able to
Sure.
pay NIL.
I think the point you brought up is, where does the NIL, like, budget wise, how does that fit? Um, how much of that is actually, well, it's not university money. It takes on university money in some degree, it feels like. So, like, and those are decisions that are made by people that's way smarter than I am, obviously. But I think the point with this is, you know, women's basketball is a great product. It really is. And again, you and I have benefited from that product for several years. But uh, at what point do they sort of right the ship in terms of being on the plus side of it financially? And the thing that I've kind of come to today as I was thinking about this topic was, and I don't know what it looks like, and there's a lot of pride involved in this, but I mean, is there a format or is there a place where the NCAA and the WNBA, which is really the NBA financially, is there a place where those two can sort of work together, which is a weird concept? Can they work together to sort of create a model, as you said, to where women's basketball, that product can still be out there, but it can be out there in a more financially advantageous scenario to where it just has the feeling to me it could just blow up at some point if it doesn't change. So uh, I just wonder if the NCAA and the WNBA can sort of put their heads together and come up with a model that would sustain it until it could get on the plus side of it. So again, I don't know if there's any merit in that. Uh, and obviously, there are huge egos involved on each side, just like any other business transaction. So I don't know, but I do feel like whether that crossroads is 5 years from now or 20 years from now, I don't know. But it sort of feels like it's got to change in order for it to
Agreed.
work. So don't know what the answer is there, but and I'm with you. If we had the answer, we'd be in good shape. So
We'll be doing all right for ourselves.
that's absolutely right. So anyway, I think I'd like to revisit that sometime down the road on the show, and maybe when I have a little more information, and maybe we can get some NIL facts about how that figures into budgetary things and all those kind of things. So I'm going to turn away from that and talk a little Major League Baseball. I've been enjoying, just been loving the start of MLB season. Probably I'm happier because the team that I enjoy is playing a little better than they do sometimes at this time of the year. So maybe I'm just happier because of that. Um, just some highlights on the NL side. The Braves are 16-8 at the time of this show. The Reds 16-8. They lost today, so they're 16-9. Dodgers and Padres 16-7. They're tied for the lead in the West. NL Central's all those teams are above 500 in the NL Central. So Pirates, Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals, and Reds are all above 500, which makes it the most competitive division right now in Major League Baseball. On the American League side, the Yankees hold the best record, and then it's just kind of a hodgepodge from there. A lot of teams trending around 500, but slightly below. They're just kind of taking turns beating up on each other. The two worst teams record wise in the league are the New York Mets and the Kansas City Royals as of today. Uh, you and I have been on sort of on the Royals bandwagon the last couple of years, thought they were trending in the right direction. I don't think that's gone away. I think we both think they've got some young hitters that when they come into their own, they'll be really good. Pitching staff right now. This is what got my attention about the Royals. Seth Lugo and Michael Walker, both starters. Um, they've started 9 games between the two of them. That was before today's game. And they had given up a total of 7 runs in just under 60 innings of work. Lugo had an ERA of 1.15, and Walker's ERA was 1.00. So obviously, those guys can't sustain that over the course of the season. But those two starters, if they stay right there, the starting pitching, 40% of the time, is pretty competitive.
Absolutely. And, it's for the first 3 weeks of the season, Kansas City just could not generate any runs. They were losing games 2-1, 3-4, scores along those lines. Their bats in the past week or so has started to pick up. a little bit. You're starting to see what the offense is capable of, and the pitching has faltered some. So they just can't seem to get out of their own way right now. I really do think that once Kansas City is able to um, get on par both sides, both offensively and defensively, um, they're still going to be a tough out, and the wins will start um, accumulating, especially with the schedule that they will have in the American League and in the division.
Yeah.
Obviously, Detroit's pretty good, but the rest of that side, to me, Detroit kind of stands out, and everybody else you haven't really figured out. We haven't really had an opportunity to figure out yet. So there's still time, but they've got to play with a little bit of, um, gosh, their hair on fire. They've got to
Yeah.
they've got to approach every game that way right now because they all seem like they can, like we talked about last week. You're not going to win, or you're not going to get yourself in the playoffs in April, but you can sure play yourself out of the playoffs in April. And up to this point, the Mets, um, you mentioned Kansas City, Philadelphia Phillies is a team that's a little bit of a surprise. They're struggling right now. Um, Seattle Mariners are
Yeah.
struggling right now a little bit. You think about some of those teams that uh, coming into the season, we kind of figured would be at or near the top of their respective divisions throughout most of the season and be players in the playoffs when September rolls around. So, like I said, I've always said there's still a lot of baseball to be played, um, but the red flags have to be going up um, for those two clubs, especially, and some of the others that I mentioned. There are some teams playing above their heads right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the A's are really playing good baseball. Um, they've had a few mishaps here the past couple of games, but uh, when their bats are going, they're good. They can generate a lot of runs, and they've got a decent um, pitching staff. So, the White Sox, their record is not as quite as good as what they are, or what they have been. They've been playing people close. They just can't finish off the game. And Colorado's another one. The
Yeah.
record's not very good, but they've been playing people close and
Yeah.
doing it with young people, with young players. St. Louis. I mean,
Yes.
I had written them off for dead before the season ever started.
Yeah.
And hey, they're really doing a good job. They just finished up a six game road swing at 4-2. Now,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you can do that throughout the year, here and there, you're going to win some games.
Yeah.
And LA's rising. The cream is rising to the top in the National League. Padres and Reds and some of those other teams are kind of nipping at their heels right now. Um, the American League, you would think odds-on favorite New York Yankees
Yeah.
would kind of be that team, but they haven't really separated themselves to this point from the rest of the American League. So everything's wide open right now. Every team is a pitching injury away from being
Right.
very mediocre,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of baseball to be played out, and just looking forward to getting through this spring, and then the dog days of summer will hit in, and I think that's when we'll start to see, uh, everything start to kind of shake out throughout the rest of the year.
Sure. As a casual baseball fan, I've always sort of targeted May 1. This is not scientific, but May 1st was kind of a time where you sort of really, especially in my own team, you sort of checked in and said, okay, hey, are they capable or not capable? And if they are capable, then in the next 2 weeks, by May 15, can they sort of start trending upward, even if it's slow? And then June 1 is the date where I'm like, okay, hey, like, can we be buyers or sellers in July? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of my own, that's my own time frame. So May 1 is looming soon. And you're right. I think things will start to sort of sift out between May 1 and May 15, and there'll be some favorites, and some other teams will start to fade a little bit. You already referenced them, Cardinals. Hey, what a start for them! Again, I don't think anybody, saw it coming, and the Walker kid is on fire for them right now. So congratulations to the Cardinals for a great start. Um, I'm just going to mention this real quick, and you and I, you're a Cubs fan, I'm a Reds fan, and we're constantly trying to general manage our team and sign deals and move players and all that stuff in our own way. Uh, Nick Castellanos was a Cincinnati Red in 2021 and 22, and hit for power, corner outfielder, really good for them. Um, in 21, he has a great year, and he actually rejects the qualifying offer from the Reds. Signs with Philadelphia Phillies in 2022 for $100 million. The Reds weren't willing to pay that. I get it on both sides. The Phillies were getting a right-handed bat that they thought was going to contribute for a long time, and the Reds said, "Hey, we can't afford him." The interesting piece of that is the Reds, as a part of that, uh, a part of him rejecting the qualifying offer, was that they got a comp pick, which was round one, pick 32 in the Major League draft. And that draft pick turned out to be Sal Stewart, who is presently on the Reds as a rookie and leading the National League in RBIs and just hitting it a ton right now. Um, Now, he may fall off the map. I don't think so.
I don't think.
But that's, and at the time, I remember pushing for the Reds to pay Castellanos. I'm like, hey, he's the only right-handed bat they got. We got to sign him. Got to sign him. They didn't. And hey, lo and behold, about 4 years later, we maybe got the best position prospect going right now in the game. So that was just sort of a reminder for me to tone it down a little bit sometimes when it comes to my own team. Maybe I don't know what I think I know. So anyway, if you're just watching this show and you're kind of a casual Major League fan, you got to check out Sal Stewart for the Reds. Uh, he's fun to watch on whatever team he'd be on. He is fun to watch. He'll
He
play
is the
first.
real deal. He is
Yeah.
the real deal. JJ Weatherholt
Yes.
for the Cardinals
St.
is the
Louis.
real
Yes.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stewart will play first, second, third. Plays them all pretty well, and I mean, he's in the 4 hole right behind Ellie De La Cruz right now, and he's having a great season. So check him out if you have not seen him. Kind of close things out, I'm going to switch gears to the NBA here. Uh, Playoffs are going strong right now. The NBA playoffs. I've told you before, I love the earlier rounds more than I do the later rounds typically, because there's 2 or 3 games a night, and you can always find a fantastic finish about every night with that. The series I'm going to highlight, I've got about 4 or 5 of them. The Spurs and Portland series, as of the time of this show, that series is tied 1-1. Uh, Wemby took a terrible fall last night. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or not, Darren, but I mean, took a terrible fall, landed on basically on his face and head. I think you looked it up previous to the show. He's still in concussion protocol. Uh, Based on the nature of the fall, uh, I don't know. I'm no medical expert, but I can't see him being released from that protocol for a while. It was quite a fall. That changes things. The Spurs are the 2 seed. Portland's already got them tied 1-1. I don't want to say the Spurs are in trouble, but that's different without Wemby.
Yeah, that's a series changer, and that's a division playoff changer.
Yeah.
I mean, if if he's in concussion protocol, more than likely it's going to be at least 7 days. and could be longer depending on the nature of the concussion.
Yeah.
The one thing that um, what do the Spurs do to recover from that loss if it's for the remainder of this series or even the next 2 or 3 games, because you're going to move from San Antonio out to Portland to play here before too long, and you're going to need all hands on deck. And um, yeah, that's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I am going to shout out to Portland real quick. Tiago Splitter is their head coach there, former NBA big man. Um, actually played in the Spurs system for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. There,
I think so. Yeah.
he actually is coaching the team because Chauncey Billups is under investigation for a gambling scheme or whatever. The results of that investigation aren't back yet, so I'm not certainly not condemning Mr. Billups yet, but he is under investigation for some gambling situations. Tiago was basically just thrown into that job once that news about Chauncey Billups broke, um, and then to sort of further complicate, Portland actually changed ownership during the season. So Tiago has gone from assistant coach to head coach with new owners in the past, I'm going to say 8 months or so. So obviously, Coach Splitter is doing something well to have Portland in the playoffs with a chance to, chance to win the series possibly. Or somebody behind him's really helping him out. But congratulations to Portland, and I would give the credit to Coach Splitter, but I'm sure there's a lot of people around him. He's got a lot of good people around him helping him navigate that situation. Lakers are 2-0 over the Rockets. I saw last night's game described this way, okay, on a post today. And AAU people don't hate me. This is just the quote I saw. The quote said it looked like the 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning AAU game when you played at 8:30 the night before.
Right.
3 out of 4 possessions had air balls in them at one point, and at one point neither teams were hustling, and the coaches were both sitting down, and it looked like the crowd was coaching both teams. So that was basically the quote in a nutshell. Again, AAU people don't come at me. There's a lot of good AAU programs out there. Anyway, the Lakers, they look primed and ready. I think it looks like they're going to win that. To me, they do have to go to Houston from here. The intriguing one right now, and there's just one game in the series, and that's Orlando Magic as the 8 seed beat Detroit the other night. So that series is 1-0 with game 2 going on essentially in just a few minutes. So
Yes.
uh,
Yeah. For those of you that are watching, we record this on a Wednesday and then release it on a Friday. So
yeah,
when we mentioned today, it's Wednesday, but um, looking ahead, that series is off to an interesting start.
yeah, yeah. Um, hey, and let's just, I mean, game 2's in Detroit. Uh, let's say the Pistons drop that. Now they're down 2-0 going to Orlando. That's not a great recipe. So
No.
interesting series there. Uh, Knicks and Hawks, that series is 1-1. I watched the end of that game the other night. Game 1 is a fantastic game. Denver and Timberwolves are 1-1. There are times to me that Denver has almost looked old in this series. Have you watched any of that series by chance?
I have, and you're right. Just seems like they've got really heavy legs, and
Yeah.
um, yes, I agree. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I never really thought of it, but that way. But yeah, they do look old-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I've been a huge Denver fan for a long time. I just like what the Joker does and like how fundamental he is, and like he's kind of he's kind of an old school big man a little bit in the way he plays and the way he passes the ball and backs people down and all those kinds of things. But they do look they either look old or a little sluggish thus far. So NBA is alive and well. There'll be tons of great games going forward. So we will keep you posted on further episodes of our show going forward about the NBA playoffs. I am anxious to hear the Wemby news. You and I talked before. I mean, he has a chance to be the face of the NBA. If you know, upon LeBron's departure, Wemby is definitely on the short list. I think for probably being the face of the NBA. So certainly, we all want him to recover on a long term basis, and those head injuries and concussion things we now know differently than what we used to know, just the impact of those things. So hopefully he bounces back for his sake, for the league's sake. And I'm sure the Spurs want him back for their sake as well. So any parting thoughts before I sign us off today, Darren?
No, great job. Interesting facts that you brought to the show today. And like I said, I just want to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in each week. We release our new episodes every Friday at 9:30 on all of our social media networks. That's Twitter, or X as it's called now, Facebook, YouTube. You can catch us on any of those channels. And while you're there, give us a subscribe, like, and a follow if you would, please. It always helps us to be able to do this and keep bringing you just two sports fans talking sports every week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we enjoy this, and we kind of enjoy the unusual from time to time. We obviously like to talk about the current things and hit the NBA, Major League Baseball, and NFL, and college athletics, and all those things. But if there is a story out there, sort of in your niche of the world as a viewer, please let us know. We'd love to. We're always up for sharing a good story, especially. I think Darren and we've sort of had a calling for high school athletics through the years. And so if there's a high school story out there that we need to know about, please let us know, and we'd like to share that with you. So, Darren, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been fun.
You bet. My pleasure.
All right. Well, viewers, thanks for joining us again. Darren has let you know of all the places that we can be contacted and how you can view us. So thanks for your support and your viewership. For Darren Archer, I am Eric DeRosset, and I am signing off for this week on the show On Deck with DeRo and Arch. We will see you next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.